So in a study, the sample is chosen by pulling 50 names from a hat. What is the sampling method? So let's run through all of these just so that we give you a little background for all of them. Convenience sample. Convenience sample is not a good sampling method in any way, shape, or form. But a convenience method would be something that's convenient to the researcher, but you lose all sense of randomization. So, cluster sample. A cluster sample is when you break the population into subgroups, and then you randomly select one or more of the subgroups, and then you take everybody in that subgroup. So for example, if you can think of your high school, and you had students that were broken up into classes you were in your math class, your history class, your English class, or you could randomly select a class number and then go take everybody in that particular classroom, and then that would be a cluster sample. Stratified. Stratified is when you break the population into subgroups, but then you randomly select from each subgroup. So for example, if I wanted to, again, go back to high school, and I could break the population maybe up by grade level. So I'd have 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. And then maybe I could select 10 randomly chosen people from each grade level. So the difference between cluster and stratified is often a source of confusion for students. In a cluster sample, you randomly select a group, and then you take everybody in that particular group. For stratified, you break the population into subgroups, but then you randomly select from those groups, and you don't take the entire subgroup, you just randomly select from each subgroup. Systematic. Systematic is when you have your population organized into some list, and then you have a method for systematically picking from the list. So for example, a phone book. If you had the population of Phoenix, Arizona in the phone book, and then you picked a random place to start in the phone book, and then maybe selected every 10th name in the book, and then you would have a systematic sample. So you have an organized list, you randomly select where to start in the list, and then you have a method for moving from subject to subject in the list. Simple random sample is where the definition of a simple random sample is that every subset of a given size is equally likely to be chosen. But the nuts and bolts of a simple random sample is something like you throw all the names into a hat and then you randomly select from the hat. Or you could assign everybody a number in the population and then have a computer randomly select numbers. So the definition says that every subset of a given size n is equally likely to be selected. So in this case, if I'm throwing the 50 names into a hat, or if I'm throwing the entire population into a hat and then pulling 50 names from it, then every given sample of size 50 is equally likely to be selected. Therefore, this is simple random.